Почитувани, разговараме со господинот Ален Берсе, генерален секретар на Советот на Европа, најстарата меѓународна организација во Европа која е практично чувар на демократските стандарди. Mr. Berse, how do you assess the present state of democracy and human rights in Europe, and what are the main challenges in this regard in the current geopolitical context?
Well, I think democracy is under strong pressure everywhere because of the technological changes, because of the social media, because, of artificial intelligence. It is more and more difficult to see if we are confronted with information or disinformation. And it means that we need to address this, and this explains that it is backsliding. And the answer to this, the Council of Europe is able to do something for this with, for example, the Convention on fighting against disinformation or foreign interferences that we are preparing, with globally the new Democratic Pact for Europe that we want to implement. It is an answer, a common answer to those threats.
What is Council of Europe's influence in promoting and protecting democracy, human rights and rule of law? Is this organization have really influence?
We have a strong influence. First of all, the organization is made by the member states, 46 member states, and North Macedonia is a member state since more than 30 years, 3 decades. It's a long history. And this organization is dedicated to the promotion of democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. Okay, what does it mean concretely? It means that when those principles are under pressure or attack, we need together to bring answers. For the pressure on democracy, the new Democratic Pact for Europe. On accountability, the rule of law, what's happening right now, for example, in Ukraine with this aggression from Russia and Ukraine. It is not possible to accept just impunity and brutality and force and war. We want dialogue, peaceful relations, and accountability. And we are building a framework for accountability in Ukraine. And we have also, for doing this, what I call a common legal space that was developed by the European Court on Human Rights around the European Convention of Human Rights. And all this is the collective answer we can have to the challenges that we are all together facing today. 46 member states, the European continent is highly diverse, but it is not fragmented. Diversity is positive, fragmentation will be negative. And to fight against the fragmentation, we are working all together to create this common legal space.
One of your main commitments as the organization's Secretary General is a new Democratic Pact for Europe. What are your expectations from this process?
I think we should always see that democracy is a fantastic system because it is the only one allowing to population to decide how they want to be led. But at the same time, democracy can be fragile. It is fragile because it is possible, with social media, disinformation, with AI, to manipulate information and to manipulate opinions. And I think the new Democratic Pact for Europe is the program we want to develop together to make sure that we are able, as resilient societies, to adapt to the new situation. What does it mean? It means that it is important to learn at school, in the family, in the society, how it works with democracy. It is important to protect democracy. And that's exactly, for example, the goal that we are following with the Convention, fighting disinformation and foreign interferences. And at the same time, we need to innovate, to find new way to promote democracy. And this learning, protecting, and innovating is the general context of the new Democratic Pact for Europe. It is really something, a project that we are developing with all the member states, learning from each other, learning from different practices, and trying to develop together a context where democracy and democratic values are expanding in a world that is much more complicated than it was the case 20 years ago.
Yes. North Macedonia today has signed the Framework Convention of Artificial Intelligence and Human Rights. How significant is this issue in relation to the protection?
Well, it is extremely significant. You can imagine if we see the expansion of artificial intelligence today, what it can mean. I mean, also the misuse, I would say, of artificial intelligence to create disinformation, for example. It represents a threat for democratic values. And the fact that North Macedonia today is joining this framework convention of the Council of Europe is a very strong signal. It was a very important moment together with the minister when we signed, when North Macedonia has joined the convention. And now clearly it is also the question about implementation, and development. But I think this step made by North Macedonia is a strong commitment to participate to a development of artificial intelligence that is not against democracy, rule of law, and human rights, but that is really, integrated in the processes to make something also positive with this. We have very positive, elements from AI. You can use AI to, to debunk disinformation or misinformation. That's really important. We have also these tools that we can use for a positive support for democracy.
To be aware about the risks.
Exactly.
Exactly. The Council of Europe in January has adopted a resolution to close the post-monitoring dialogue with North Macedonia.
It was a decision of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, and it's a very good element. It is, I think, a normal step after all those years. I was mentioning before, North Macedonia is a member of the Council of Europe since more than 30 years now. And we had a very important positive development together. I mean, if we think where was the continent, where was the region, the Western Balkans 30 years ago, it was a totally different situation than today. And it shows, if we see the difference, it shows the huge progress that have been made in the meantime. That's a very positive step, and but we will continue to work together as we do with all member states, with the monitoring bodies, following the implementation of conventions. That's fully normal. I mean, we have with the Greco the fight against corruption. We have with other bodies important follow-up. We have the CPT, the Committee for the Prevention of Torture, visiting prisons, all around the continent, also here in North Macedonia. An external eye on what's happening, with also recommendations and discussions to have some progress in those issues that are strongly related to human rights. And this work will never stop. I mean, being together, it is ongoing for all countries. All member states have those visits and have these exchanges because we are in an active work promoting the human rights, promoting the rule of law and the democracy, and it is a never-ending process, and it will continue here, like it is the case in all countries.
In the context of the rights of Macedonians, Macedonian minority in Bulgaria, the European Court of Human Rights has issued 14 judgments over the past 2 decades, and none of them for ruling that Bulgaria has violated the Article 11 of the European Convention of Human Rights, but none of them has been implemented. Yesterday, at the press conference with your host, Foreign Minister Mucunski, you stated that you are working on the implementation of the decisions, and that this issue will be on the next meeting of the Committee of Ministers. Can you be more specific? What positive effects positive results do you expect very soon, as you said?
Well, the decisions of the court are clear, and they must be implemented. We call this execution. Being member of the Council of Europe is not only being member of a club, it is also committing to the European Convention of Human Rights, and it is as well accepting to execute all the judgments of the European Court of Human Rights. That's the commitment that the member states took joining the Council of Europe, and it is also obviously the case for North Macedonia, it is the case for Bulgaria, and it is the case for all the member states, all the 46 member states. Saying this, we have the judicial level, the court taking decision, and then we have the political level. That means the Committee of Ministers, I mean the group of the member states, accompanying the execution of the judgments in all member states. That's the second element I wanted to mention. We are now not in the first element, we have the decisions of the court, we are in the moment of execution. It is accompanied by the Committee of Ministers. My third point is that we have, I mean in different countries, in a lot of countries by the way, for certain decisions, some complex issues or some delays for the execution. And this is always a concern for us because it is not possible to accept, that it will be not executed. And that's why we are working closely with the, concerned countries to make this happen. And in the last month, we had made, I think, some progress in the execution discussion with Bulgaria, and it is discussed regularly at the Committee of Ministers. But who is able to say, okay, it has been done, thank you for the execution? This is the role of the Committee of Ministers. They are not so far. They are continuing to work on this, and I hope that we will have positive progress. What does it mean? It means that the decisions of the court must be executed. It means concretely in the cases that you mentioned that it must be possible for some organization being registered. That's the point. Yes. And from the moment where it will be possible to have in good conditions this result, I think it will be possible for the Committee of Ministers to consider that this step has been made. The role of the Secretariat that I am leading is more to help, to bring some elements, to bring some documents, to help the Committee of Ministers to have all information for doing this. And what I was saying yesterday is that it is a process. It is not black or white. It is not one day, you just do like this and it has been done. No, it must be really, it's quite complex. It must be executed, and it is a process that takes a bit time if we want to have a stable and high quality level for the execution. But my impression, what I feel, is that it is progressing.
How efficient is European Court of Human Rights work in reality?
How it is efficient?
Yes, how is
it is extremely efficient, I mean, and we should never underestimate what was achieved during all those times. North Macedonia, being a member of the Council of Europe, is not just a member of a club. North Macedonia, being a member of the Council of Europe, take part in a huge common legal space that was created around the European Convention of Human Rights. Because a lot of rights that have been, shaped and decided during more than 60 years now, created this common legal space. I can give you one example. Because of a decision of the court in the 70s on a UK case, United Kingdom case, the court decided, and it was the first time on the continent, that there is for individuals a right to privacy. Can you imagine this? Before this case, there was no right to privacy. And now we have the right to privacy on all the member states of the Council of Europe at the same level, thanks to the case law of the European Court of Human Rights. And this is creating a huge difference for individuals. North Macedonia, joining 31 years ago, take part now to this common space. Another case is the right to have access to a court. When you have a problem, the right to accede to a court. It was not obvious before a decision of the European Court of Human Rights. And this is creating, for really important rights for individuals, a common legal space. And that means what? It means that the influence of the court and the influence of the Council of Europe is huge. And it means what? It means that the 46 member states are on equal footing in this common legal space. That means that North Macedonia is at the same level like France. It means that Serbia is at the same level like Spain. It means that Ukraine is at the same level like Switzerland or Germany. This is huge. It is totally underestimated. And thank you for the question, because it gives me the occasion to underline the importance of this situation. I mean, for all the populations, for you, for me, for all the people living in North Macedonia.
The other question is trying some proposals from some countries, member states, to make some changes of adaptations of the Human Rights Convention?
You mentioned probably the case of on migration.
Yes.
It was this discussion that was launched by some member states. You know, I mean, the question is not to change the convention, because the convention is not mentioning migration. That's not the point. The point is, how are we able, in the wide European family, to take the political issues that we are seeing, confronting with, to take this in the Council of Europe. And I decided to make a promotion for this discussion at the political level, the Committee of Ministers. And we will have next week in Chisinau, Moldova, a very important meeting of all member states. It's a ministerial conference of the Council of Europe, where we will adopt a declaration on migration at the political level. And it was, I think, the right way at the political level to address this without undermining the independence of the judiciary. We are working for the independence of the judiciary in all countries. You are insisting on this. It would be not correct, you know, to try to undermine this at the level of the Council of Europe.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Berse. Thank you for this interview, and I wish you good luck with your mission.
Thank you.